Hansi Flick became Bayern Munich manager in November of 2019. By November of 2020, he had won everything. He managed one of the greatest Bayern sides of all time, arguably the best German side of all time. They were absolutely incredible. His stock was at an all-time high. He was credited as being one of the best managers in world football. But then in 2021, he decided to leave that role to take over the German national team, and that role was unsuccessful. A very disappointing 2022 World Cup, sacked before Euro 2024. His stock had massively fallen, but then in July he took the Barcelona job, and he's quickly reminded us in just a couple months how he is one of the best managers in the world. This is how Hansi Flick made Barcelona great again. Before we get into the key players and tactics of Hansi Flick's Barcelona side, let's just summarise their season so far. In the Liga, they're top of the table, having played 11 games, winning 10 and losing 1, scoring 37 goals and only conceding 10, whilst in the Champions League they've played 3 matches, they've won 2 and lost 1, scoring 10 goals and only conceding 3. After looking at some basic stats from Barcelona this season, how have they lined up tactically under Hansi Flick? The approach they've taken is a lot more direct, opposed to Barcelona's typical keep the ball as long as possible and break down a team, and opposed to the classic 4-3-3, Barcelona have lined up in what is somewhat a 2-4-3-1. This is an example from the Real Madrid game where both fullbacks are wide, dragging out Real Madrid's 2 wide players, and that gives Barcelona the midfield advantage with 3-2 and Fermin Lopez is in space. But that isn't enough for Hansi Flick's Barcelona to be able to create an opportunity. We'll see in this image here where Raphinha is dropping into midfield. He's clearly in lots of space. Real Madrid obviously don't want that. So Eder Militao is then forced to come out when there is an opportunity for the ball to be played to Raphinha. That then creates space for Lewandowski and a ball is played over the top. This is done again versus Real Madrid, but in a reverse sort of situation where Lewandowski drops deep, bringing out Rudiger, and that gives Raphinha a lot of space in a 1v1 situation, and that eventually leads to his first goal of the match. This isn't really seen with Lamine Yamal. He mostly stays on his side of the pitch because he's at his best in a 1v1 situation when he's attacking an opposing fullback, and this is seen in this example where Yamal picks up the ball in a wide area. You can see both Lewandowski and Raphinha are together. Yamal keeps the ball, Raphinha makes a run across, a bit of space is created for Lewandowski, a ball is played over the top by Yamal, Lewandowski ends up scoring. Defensively this season, Barcelona haven't been great, but that's no real surprise. That's similar to how Hansi Flick's Bayern Munich side were very vulnerable on the counter-attack. That's largely because of the high line they play and how many bodies they tend to commit forward, so when they lose the ball, a couple of good passes from the opposition can lead to a very good chance. Flick's method of stopping an opposition's attack is a very unique counter-press, and I say a unique counter-press because of Lewandowski's role. Typically when the opposition goalkeeper has the ball, you would associate the striker with going to press them. With Barcelona that is not the case. 36-year-old Lewandowski probably doesn't have the legs to do it, and we see in this image here where you have Barcelona's front 4, Raphinha playing in the 10 in this game versus Sevilla. When the ball is played back, it's Raphinha who ends up pressing the goalkeeper and Lewandowski marks the opposition number 6. This can be seen again in the Sevilla goal kick where Lewandowski takes the number 6 and Raphinha and Lamine Yamal press the goalkeeper. This forces the goalkeeper to go long and Barcelona end up winning the long ball, starting another attack. The long ball could also potentially cause Barcelona problems because they will be vulnerable on the wing when their 2 wingers are pressing, they're in the box. That could leave Barcelona's fullback isolated in a 2v1 situation with the opposition winger and fullback. For the most part, that really hasn't happened with Barcelona and the counter press has worked effectively. You really have to give credit to Hansi Flick for how in just a couple of months he's implemented these tactics and how well the Barcelona players have taken them on and applied them in match situations. And I know I was critical of the high line and how it can potentially leave Barcelona vulnerable, but that's the case with any high line. And in fairness to Barcelona, their high line has been incredibly effective, better than anyone else this season. They've provoked more offsides than anyone else across Europe's top 5 leagues. In fairness, half of those might be Kylian Mbappe, but it is incredibly impressive, and when you're looking at offsides provoked per game, it's better than anyone in the last 7 seasons. The main men of this Barcelona team have been that front 3. Technically it's a front 4, but that number 10 is interchanged, whether it be Fermin Lopez, occasionally Raphinha or Dani Olmo, but that front 3 has been playing almost every single game and they've all been incredible. And credit to Lewandowski, I think it's going to be his best season for Barcelona. He scored 17 goals in 14 games, which is amazing. But that's stuff we know Lewandowski is capable of doing. I'm going to highlight Raphinha and Lamine Yamal as their best players this season because they've been incredible. Raphinha in particular wasn't stand out in his previous seasons for Barcelona, but this year he has been incredible. You can see those stats on your screen. Most chances created across La Liga this season. He's been absolutely amazing. And as I highlighted in the tactical analysis, it's not just his on the ball stuff, it's off the ball, the movement, the pressing. He's been fantastic and performing at a world class level. And Lamine Yamal, are you really surprised? This kid just keeps getting better and better. I say a kid, he's 2 months older than me, but anyway, he's just won the Copa Trophy. He's absolutely incredible. You'll see those stats for Barcelona. Incredible stuff for a 17-year-old, while after playing the game for a decade, I still can't pass the ball straight. Barcelona have been incredible this season, no doubt, but they still have players coming back from injury. Gavi and De Jong are being implemented back into the team, and you still have Araujo, so they're only going to get better. They now actually have options in midfield that aren't teenagers. Casado's been brilliant, but now they have either De Jong or Gavi in that position. Somehow Gavi is one of the more experienced players in the squad despite only being 20. Regular viewers of the channel will know how much I love Gavi and how excited I am to see what Hansi Flick can do with him. And when Araujo comes back into the team, is he even guaranteed a spot back in the squad? Because Kubarsi and Inigo Martinez have both been incredible. Araujo is now going to have to fight for his space. If Barcelona keep going the way they're going under Hansi Flick, which I expect them to do, they're obviously going to be in contention for La Liga. They probably will win it, maybe the Copa del Rey. But the statement I'm going to make is I think they are one of the favourites for the Champions League. They've shown an ability in the last week to beat the best teams in Europe, Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. And in 2025, 10 years after their last Champions League, Hansi Flick could be bringing home number 6. Please don't come back to this video when it ages terribly.